Hi, I'm Dea.
I'm Reese.
And we are
Literally
dead.
Horror podcast.
Yes, welcome back. We're at the end of summer.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed your summer so far?
No, it's been too hot.
Fair enough. I'm not built for the heat either. I'm built like a peasant made for like pulling up potatoes and shit. I think.
I see you doing that. You love potatoes actually, don't you?
I do. That's why I said I could eat them.
Is that summer food?
No, it's not. Unfortunately.
No.
It's more of like a winter food. I've been really into salad recently.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Me
I've
too.
been eating a lot of salad, like Mediterranean style meal where I'm just like snacking on an olive and like a tomato for 2 hours.
Girl dinner.
Yeah.
No, my favorite thing about being an adult is realizing salads just slap.
Oh, and barbecues and fruit.
Barbecues with a salad.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's the thing.
And then all of the like Turkish shops in my area have these giant slices of watermelon out, and they're always so good.
Yeah.
Don't go to the supermarket. Find your local like Mediterranean, like Turkish, or food shop from that kind of region, and they always have the best fruit. They have the best cherries and the best watermelons. Is my thing.
That's sound advice.
Yeah. I'm very smart.
No, I don't disagree. It's just making me hungry. Not hungry, peckish.
We just ate.
We ate an hour ago.
Yeah.
An hour and a half ago.
Yeah.
We watched a whole 90-minute film.
We did.
What film did we watch?
We watched The Ruins.
2008?
2008, I think.
Yeah, and that's the film we're doing today.
Yeah.
The Ruins.
How did we discover this movie?
Netflix, yeah.
It was leaving and we needed a movie.
Well, we wanted to do summer vibes, and we were like beach,
camp,
island, and this was like a vacation one. And we
Yeah.
thought, oh, vacation film, great.
Yeah. Not many people are doing like vacation movies in their like summer horror lists, because I was looking for a long time, and it's always like Friday the 13th or like Piranha or Jaws.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, I've seen them. I want something new. I want something fun. People have already probably seen The Ruins, but we're gonna talk about it anyway because we hadn't.
We hadn't, not till now,
No.
but now we have.
Yeah.
Now we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. Should I say the synopsis?
Yeah, synopsize.
I'm synopsizing. Americans are dumb. Go to astrology site. Scares ensue. I didn't use the letterbox for that one.
What was the word you used? What kind of site?
Archaeology.
Oh, they said astrology. Did I mishear you, or did you Freudian sleep?
I don't know.
Well, you guys will hear at home.
I'll
Either
hear in
I'm
the editing
stupid
lab and
or
I'll
Dea.
just dub over myself.
It's just like, head to a archaeology site. You better do it like that. Otherwise, I'll be upset now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just bleep myself out and then you will never know.
Evil. We should take advantage of this new setting. Let's like cozy up and like talk to each other.
Okay.
I think that's...
Bye.
Yeah, bye. We're not looking at you at home.
Yeah. We're still ill.
Oh, yeah, we're still ill.
We're
We've been
batch-
ill for weeks, 2 weeks.
Can we not just expose ourselves?
That we filmed both episodes.
What would be the point? Why did we change up?
So the thumbnails look different.
Yeah, okay, that's true. So the people don't think we're bums.
Yeah, we have more than one piece of clothing.
There you go. Here you go, guys.
I have 2.
This is the same, but inside out.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice these, so they won't know home.
Yeah.
I'm wearing the same pajama bottoms because I'm not getting dressed for anybody. Yeah.
I wish I was in my pajamas right now.
The lights are green now. I wonder why. I guess it's probably hinting towards something that'll happen later. Do you think?
Foreshadowing. Oh my god.
Okay.
Right, let's start this
Let's
video.
actually do this video. I think we've got a little too comfortable.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, so The Ruins. We got the synopsis. Now we're about to spoil the fuck out of the film. So if you don't want to be spoiled, come back later.
Yeah. So the movie starts, and there's this American lady, and she's just in the dark, screaming for help.
Yeah.
Screaming, help me. And then her phone...
Somebody help me!
She tries the phone. The phone has no signal.
Mm-hmm.
She's beeping on it. Nothing.
Beep, 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 beep. No one's coming. It seems like she's either in a cave or she's in a big hole because it is sort of a light coming from above.
I can't lie. Because I never heard of this movie. Like, I'd seen it when I was scrolling on Netflix, but I hadn't watched it. So I just thought she was in, like, a room.
Oh.
I don't know. I thought maybe she'd be, like, the main character and, like, her whole thing would be, like, exploring things. Like, you know how in The Descent,
But
it was
she,
all
like,
about how,
gets
like...
dragged away at the end.
Yeah.
At the end of the cold opening, she gets
dragged
snapped
away.
away after putting her whole ussy into "Help me!"
And that's when I realised, okay, that was the ruins then that killed her. Yeah.
Let me in now, and it will be nice. Make me go now, and I'll have to come back.
Okay.
Not once, not twice, but as many times as I like.
I like that. It's very good.
Don't know why I had to get out of my system. Thank you. Let's get back to recording.
No, it's going in the episode.
No, it's not.
Now we're introduced. We're at a resort. Couldn't be us. I wish I was at a resort right now.
Oh my gosh, so do I.
I just want to like lie on like a Lido and drink a mojito and be
Yeah, which, I mean, they
warm.
should have taken this advice. But if you pick a resort, especially an all-inclusive one, why are you leaving? I know, oh, you should see the sights, see the people.
If you want culture, come back for culture and
Yeah.
stay in a hostel
Stay, exactly.
or a hotel.
Or
But
just
you know
a
what I mean?
simple hotel, but
If
an
you book-
all-inclusive resort.
That's the holiday. That's the country.
Yeah, that's where you wanted to go.
What country did you go to? All inclusive.
I want to be lazy.
I've never been to an
Working
all-inclusive.
from the beach.
No. I will not be working from the beach. If you see me working at a beach, shoot me. Because I will have been doing something stupid.
Agree. Anyone who says they work from the beach is just a cunt.
Psychopath. So you're going to get sand on your computer or your phone.
Or your
Notebook.
notebook. Ooh, who works on a notebook? Ooh. Weirdos who work on holiday. That too.
Yeah.
Cool.
I barely work now.
I don't work at home.
Yeah.
I don't work at work. I don't work. I work on my couch apparently. Anyway, the point is, okay, so the film opens with that cold open. Switch to
These 4 Americans are on a pool side.
at a resort.
Their names are Jeff, Eric, Stacy,
Amy.
Amy.
They're great. Jeff and Amy, they're dating. Eric and Stacy,
They're
they're
dating.
dating. Jeff and Amy, dating. Eric and Stacy, dating. Cool.
Yeah.
That's the explanation. They're next to this pool. They're having a cool time.
Having a
Everybody's like,
kiki.
tee. Until Amy loses her earring and she kind of freaks out. She's like, where's my earring? It's my favorite earring.
Why would you bring your favorite earring to the pool? That's so fucking stupid.
Why? Genuinely, why? Why would you bring your favorite, most prized possession earrings to the swimming pool?
And this is when I knew this bitch would be the most annoying character for the whole movie. Because you've already started. You've already started pissing me off. Anyway, some German guy helps him out and finds it.
But you know what, though?
What?
Amy was really annoying in the beginning, and that's how you knew she was going to be the final girl.
Yeah.
Like, spoiler alert or whatever.
It's
but
always the least interesting one.
it's the most annoying one.
Yeah.
It's the most annoying one that is always the final girl. Because nobody interesting ever gets to live. And that's why I know I'll die young.
You die young.
Yeah, because I'm too interesting.
You don't think you're annoying?
No.
Okay.
Bitch. I kill myself right now so I die hot and interesting.
Then you would have proved me right. Annoying ones die first.
So yeah, this German guy from the other side of the pool is staring at them, disappears into the water, pops back up, and he's like, hey, found your earring. And they're like, thanks, man, come have a drink. And he's like, cool, whatever. But in like a German accent.
Yeah.
Jaws. I can't do German, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay, German.
His name is Matthias. He's very nice.
Oh, he's lovely.
He's
and
alright.
then he mentions how he's here with his brother, but his brother left with some archaeology woman the day before, a couple of days before, to go see this hidden temple. I think his brother was trying to hit or something. But he says my brother was supposed to be back like yesterday, but he's not. So he is going to the temple tomorrow. And then the group of 4 that, Jeff is like,
We want experiences. Give
Yeah.
us the experiences.
why did you guys not want to do this stuff? And then Eric's like, because it's touristy and boring. And then Mateus is like, oh, it's like a hidden one that nobody knows about.
Not
And
even on the map.
Eric is like, oh, that sounds cool. I'm cool. I want to go to where the cool people are. So
Howdy.
they decide to join Mateus.
Because he's American.
They
Howdy.
get really drunk that night. We get a beautiful shot of the night sky being all purpley and cute. And then we get a scene of them drunk on the beach. And I will say, I loved the makeup in this scene because they were giving the perfect amount of like late night beach sweat. You know when you've been spent all the day at the beach and you're drunk at night and then your skin is like tacky. Everyone's a little tiny bit shiny because you've just been sweating all day in the sun. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You guys know what I mean. It was a wonderful scene to watch, especially with the lantern lights. There's this little moment between Amy and Mateus. Now remember.
Oh yeah, because Jeff goes to bed early because he's like, oh, we're gonna go out on a hike tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like we should be.
Also, he's like the smart one.
Yeah.
Jeff
he's gonna be a doctor.
A pre-med or med
student. He's a med student.
Anyway, so he's smart. He's like, I'm going to bed. I'm not gonna drink with these crazy hooligans. And Amy gets really drunk, and she's
like, I don't want to go.
I want to make out with the German.
Yeah, that's what she did.
Tries to make out with Mateus, but Mateus like, no.
And her best friend stops her.
And
as well.
Stacey's like, Amy, stop. Amy, stop.
Amy, dance with me instead.
Put it back in your pants. Which was cute or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, the night ends. The next morning starts. The med student gets up at like 6 a.m., goes on a jog, passes by.
I don't even remember going on the jog.
Oh, yeah. He goes on the jog and he passes by the Greeks at the end of his jog. Who...
We're talking to Mateus.
Oh, no. The Greeks were passed out on the beach.
Oh, yeah. But
Yes.
then wasn't Dimitri talking to the...
We should establish who the Greeks are first.
Oh, yeah.
Who are the Greeks?
Earlier in the film, we see these guys and they're going a bit wild in the pool. And Mateus goes, crazy Greeks, which we thought he said freaks at first. And we were like, I think Greeks are freaks.
Yeah.
Maybe they're both.
And the Greeks have also been invited by the German to come to the temple.
Yeah.
But anyway, pre-med is on his way
to see Mateus. And
he passed by the Greeks, passed out on the sand, asleep. And he goes, crazy Greeks again.
Yeah.
So he goes and meets up with Mateus, and Mateus is with sort of the head Greek in the group.
Dimitri.
Oh, he was fine. He was cute.
He was very pretty.
So Dimitri is there getting the map down. He's like, oh, my friends are drunk. I'm just going to go ahead without them. So they all decide to head off together.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting ready to leave. Cut back to Jeff and Amy in their hotel room.
Amy is hungover as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to go nowhere. She's thrown up in the toilet. We get a shot of Jeff's ass. Twice. And then it cuts to the other couple. And then we made a bet.
Oh, yes. We made a bet that...
Because the other couple saw Amy try to cheat on Jeff.
With the German. And so, basically, I said, I think when it comes out later, because it's going to come out later, that the boyfriend will get really mad and then, like, won't help her or something. And then Dea's bet was... My
bet was they were going to have he was going to have a fight with the other guy's girlfriend. So Eric would fight with Amy. She would say something horrible to him. And then he would say, well, listen, I'm not cheating on my girlfriend. And then Amy would storm off and go somewhere stupid and dangerous.
Yeah.
That was my bet.
You have to wait till later to find out which one of us won.
Wow.
Amy doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
Amy doesn't want to go on this trip to the temple.
Yeah.
Jeff is trying to convince her to. Which, again, another thing that was like, Amy's going to be the final girl. She's the only one who doesn't want to go. And it's not like she's like, oh, it's dangerous. Anything can happen. No, she's just boring.
She's just hungover. Because
again...
And doesn't want to say she's afraid.
You're only the final girl because you're boring. You only live because you're boring. That's the only reason. You skate by on everyone else's coolness and you live.
And there's this one bit...
Is it worth being boring just to live?
No.
No, I'd rather die cool than live boring.
There's this part where they're like, because the next few scenes we're probably just going to gloss over because they're not interesting. No. But there's this one bit where Amy has her fucking camera and she's just taking pictures of local children. And I'm like, babe, 10 feet away. What are you doing? They're not like a tourist attraction.
And as you can tell now, she's white.
Yeah.
They all are. Of course they are. One person of colour is disappearing just to some strange temple in the middle of the woods. That's not on any maps. Anyway, so we'll just fast forward. They make a bunch of trips. You know, they car to taxi to whatever. And then they hire a Jeep. And then they drive.
They walk through.
They drive the Jeep deep into the forest and they say, oh, we have to stop here and we have to hike the rest. Then Amy gets out and is like, what do you mean hike?
I'm wearing flip-flops.
I'm wearing flip-flops.
Why the fuck is she wearing flip-flops?
And she's like, and they're like, yeah, we have to hike. And she's like, you didn't say we'd be hiking. You are going to visit an undiscovered, quote unquote, temple in the middle of the woods and you didn't think there'd be a hike. You thought there'd be a road out front you could pull up to.
Yeah, but I don't get why she thought, like, even if she wasn't hiking, what if the ground is uneven? Flip-flops are not the ideal shoe.
You knew you were going to the jungle. Why do you wear flip-flops to a jungle? No matter how colonized it is, no jungle is a flip-flop wear kind of place.
It's not flip-flop friendly.
Anyway, she just whinges. Again, that's how you know she's the final girl.
She's a moany moo, if I ever did see one.
Annoying in the beginning.
A moany moo.
It's a cow farm.
Oh, yeah, there's...
outside.
It's a cow farm. You're gonna find cows outside.
It's a farm.
They see an ominous little girl, and they keep going, hola, hola, to her. She's just not responding.
The little girl just does not give a damn. The little kids are like being really
creepy,
antisocial. Someone called the police. It's antisocial behavior. But no, yeah, they're being really antisocial, not speaking to them, just standing there staring at them.
Surprised Amy didn't take one home for a souvenir.
But yeah, surprised that the white woman didn't take the chance. Like, oh my God, I'm your mother now. I'm your mommy now. Anyway, they found these children in the middle of the woods. They didn't even attempt to go rescue them. I know the kids weren't responding. But it's the middle of the woods. Like, do you not want to check on their safety?
You don't, like, mime mama or some shit to them and ask where their fucking parents are?
Although maybe now I'm being the unresponsible one because, like, I don't want to die. If I saw some random kid going, ooh, in the forest, I ain't going after them.
No,
I'm
that
going
kid's
home.
fucking with me. Bye.
So they keep through to the forest until they get to the temple.
Yes.
This beautiful Mayan temple. It's got layers.
Covered in vines. The whole
Vines,
thing, it's all
yeah.
green. That's why we put green up.
It's green with patches of concrete rather than concrete with patches of green.
Oh, and they spot a tent on the temple and they're like, what the fuck is that? That's creepy. Maybe it's the archaeology woman and my brother.
That's what their
I feel
expectation
like
is.
Matthias is the only one who has a valid reason for going to that fucking ruins.
Oh yeah, he needed to look for his brother in case something was wrong.
And I understand him taking other people. I do. Like, I feel like the Greeks, they were all, like, muscular guys. So they could have helped him if their brother was injured or whatever. But these group of American tourists, like, they're...
He didn't invite them. They invited themselves.
They did invite themselves.
Said, yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't looking for help. In fact, as much as he obviously wanted to check on the well-being of his brother, he had just assumed his brother was having too much fun.
Mm.
You know, he didn't expect what was about to come next.
Mm.
So they go up to the temple. They start kind of looking around it, touching up on it.
And then these locals come out the bush. This guy on a horse, he comes out and he's not speaking Spanish. No. And he's not speaking English. And they don't know what the fuck he's saying.
And the horses are going crazy. They're like screaming, like, don't take us in.
The horses don't want to be near it. The guy has a gun and he's like shouting at them. And then they show the picture on the phone of the brother and they're like, have you seen him? Have you seen him? Guy takes the phone and then more people come out the bushes. And I'm thinking originally, I'm like, oh, like cartel or some shit.
Yeah, like these people are going to rob them or...
You know, and use them as hostage or something. Maybe that's like the terror of the ruins, right? Like just gang violence.
Mm-hmm. Dimitri tries to pay them with money and they refuse the money.
Oh, I thought they took it.
No, they refused the dollar.
Oh, okay.
And they... Because it's infected. Oh, we'll get to that later. So they shoot Dimitri in the chest with an arrow.
And then with a bullet.
And then shoot him in the head with a bullet.
They were like, they had to double tap.
And then everyone's freaking out and then they go...
Got them out. Go with the fucking pyramid.
Yeah, but obviously speaking in a language that they couldn't understand. And it wasn't Spanish. So I believe it's some sort of...
Mayan dialect?
Yeah, something...
Local
ancient.
dialect? I don't know.
They're at the top. They find
the tent. They find a pulley system. And they establish, like, what they have. And they find out they have no cell signal apart from Matthias's phone, which got taken by the guy.
Yeah.
But they hear a ringtone down the hall, and Matthias says, that's my brother's ringtone because we have the same phone.
So they know
Satellite
that the brother's
phones.
phone will get reception just like Matthias's is. But they're thinking, well, maybe we can just escape. They start looking around the temple and realizing that the locals have started to swarm the temple.
They're like surrounding it.
In the, the wood front.
And they're
carrying like baskets of resources, food, etc.
Tents, things to make fires with. Like they're
setting
camping out.
up to camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And someone already surmises at this point that, oh, maybe it's a human sacrifice.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a bit racist.
Like they're gathering to celebrate.
Yeah. So they surmise that they think that they're being human sacrificed.
Mm-hmm. That's what they think because they're racist.
Racist.
Anyway, so after that fails through, they think back to the ringing
in the hole.
So there is a rope over the hole, like a water well type style rope. And so Matthias climbs onto it and they
the
start
boys
to
lower
lower
them
him down. But the rope, at least the end of it, was quite rotted. And the girls notice and they say, quick, the rope. It's like rolling away and breaking. So they try to bring him back up. The rope snaps into dust, and Mateus falls with a loud cracking thud groan. But they can hear him groaning down in the hole, so they know he's alive. They think he's dead, and they listen, and they can hear him. So someone has to go down and rescue him. The boys say one of the girls have to go
because the girls aren't strong enough to pull the crank up. So if they get trapped down there, they're trapped. If the boys go down, basically.
And then, you know, so Amy and Stacey are there like, we don't want to go. What do you mean? And of course, Amy, being the useless, annoying thing that she is,
she's freaking out.
She doesn't do anything. Whereas Stacey is the one that goes, okay, I'll go down and help him. I'll go check on him.
Yeah.
Into this dark hole that could lead to her death. They lower her down.
With the rest of the rope is not rotted, by the way. They check.
Yeah, so they double check the rope to make sure she wouldn't get hurt. Then they start to lower her down, but the rope's not long enough to get her all the way down. So she has to...
just to jump a little bit.
Drop the last bit.
And she cuts her knee. Quite deep. At first we were like, oh, this bitch is just causing problems like Amy. Like we thought, oh... yeah,
whiny.
You're whiny.
Look, she's like, my knee.
Mateus is over there with his legs bent in weird places.
Yeah, and his back completely broken. And she's there like,
my knee.
I cut my knee.
And then we look at the gash and I'm like, oh, actually.
Yeah, she had like a huge shard of like rock lodged into her knee, and she pulled it out and there's this huge hole. Ooh. It was intense. In fact, she kept walking on it after that. So honestly, she wasn't a crybaby. She was quite tough, actually.
No, she was pretty decent.
She was actually quite impressive.
Yeah.
So, so she checks him out. He's really bad. But there's no ringtone anymore, and she can't really see down there very well. So there's no sound to lead her in any direction. Yeah. So they give up on it. She heads back up, tells him the situation.
Oh, no, I think she shouts it up, doesn't she?
Yeah. And they say, they talk about it, and they say they need to bring him up. But Amy is like, no, we can't do that. We can't. Or was it Stacey? One of them is like, we can't do that because his back is broken. You can't move someone who has a broken back.
And they're like, we don't have a fucking choice, babe. So Mateus's back's broken, and they're like, we should make a back, not back brace, like a back lift.
Before that, though.
But then, while they're having this argument, Amy's like, no, I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna ask them for help. The people that just shot fucking Dimitri in the chest and the head, and then she's like, I'm gonna go and ask for help.
So she runs down the temple to the people, and she's like asking them for help. She's freaking out. Jeff is with her.
He's following her, trying to get her to see reason.
And then she gets very angry, and she picks like a rock or something from the ground that's covered in vines, and she throws it, and it hits a little boy in the leg.
Yeah.
Not hard at all. He's fine. But all of a sudden, the natives turn on this little boy, and this little boy is one of them. Yeah. And they start screaming at him to get up the temple as well.
Yeah.
That's what they're indicating.
And he doesn't want to go.
The boy's terrified, and then they shoot the little boy.
In the head. Like, boom. And it's, like, very visceral. You don't expect it to happen. There's blood everywhere.
And, like, there were some women nearby that presumably related to him start screaming and crying over him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, fuck you. Like, you force these people at the temple. Like, I don't give a damn about you.
Yeah. So then Jeff manages to drag Amy back home, back up to the top of the temple. They build a backboard, and they're really quite ingenuitive in this bit.
They were so resourceful.
I was like, what? This, I hope this is the whole movie when they did that. Like, figuring out different ways to do things.
They built it out of wood, and they even installed straps to keep him sturdy on the backboard.
They take apart tents, and they use the tent pole things.
Yeah.
And then they use backpacks. They take apart their own backpacks and use that to secure them in. It's pretty sick. Yeah.
So the two girls go down, get him on the backboard. It's very brutal because they're not very strong.
Yeah, and they have to lift him, and he's bending in bad places, and he's cracking.
His back is like...
oh my god, so many bad noises.
And he's like bouncing. I mean, you can imagine. I mean, you're not even supposed to touch anyone with a broken back / neck. And he's just, so screaming. They get him on it, secure him, and they drag him up.
Yeah.
The girls then come up afterwards, and they're checking on him. He's in terrible shape, but he is alive, and he's able to talk. But he's in and out of consciousness just because he's in so much pain. They can't fit him in a tent, so they cover him in the blankets to keep him warm because they don't want to move him any more than they already have.
They make like a shelter out of the tent they took apart.
Yeah. Just to keep him safe from like the elements.
Yeah. Poor Mateus, man. He was cool.
He was a great guy. He was a really great guy.
They plan to make... They find Dimitri's plane ticket, and they're like, oh, he's supposed to leave tomorrow at like 7 a.m, which is like super early. So then he must, when he doesn't show up, they're going to call the police.
Yeah, his friends, the Greeks who were asleep on the beach, because they also had a copy of the map. And so their assumption is that when their friend Dimitri Dimitri,
Yeah.
doesn't turn up for his flight, that they'll be worried and they'll come looking for him, knowing that he went to the temple.
Or the police will come looking for them if they don't show up for checkout at the hotel.
Yeah. So they're like, as long as we are missing for long enough, someone will say something and they'll come for us.
Yeah.
It's sort of their idea. But, they're having back and forth arguments. Half of the group
Eric wants to sneak out at one point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the other half are like, no, we can wait. Like, we'll be fine. Especially Jeff. Jeff wants to just wait.
Jeff
was useful.
He was useful, but he was annoying.
Him and Amy. Yeah.
Oh, they should have died first.
Yeah, him and Amy were like the really smart ones who were good people, but like just annoying. Whereas I'd say Eric and Stacey were the like ones who, the bolder, more confident ones, who were like really hot and cool and interesting.
Yeah. Then they go to sleep, they wake up, and Jeff's up early, obviously, and he's walking around the top of the temple, and he sees something in the bushes, and he goes to investigate, and it's a skeleton with freaking vines growing out of it, with a watch on.
Yeah, so it's from a previous person, and it's quite old because it's a full-on skeleton, so he doesn't know how long it's been there. But at this point, he just finds the bush. It's very unusual. Like someone had stuffed it in there, maybe someone had covered it with the vines to hide it.
No time to investigate though.
No.
Because Stacey's screaming, there's a fucking vine growing out her leg.
So he runs into the tent. Eric's in there trying to help her.
He's pulling this vine out.
Yeah.
No time to investigate that either.
Her huge gash in her knee.
Yeah.
There's a vine growing into it.
It's thick as fuck as well. It's like this. Well, you can't see. If you're listening, it's this thick.
It's like half an inch thick.
I don't know inches. And no time to investigate because Matthias, there's vines growing at him too.
Yeah, Matthias laid on the floor, screaming, and they uncover his legs.
He has way more vines and all over his legs,
eating him alive. It almost feels like.
Oh my god, it's crazy. And then they're like, well, we can't just fucking wait because nobody's here to get us. It's already past 7. So they're like, they hear the phone again, and they're like, right, we have to go down and find this phone.
Yeah.
And so Amy and Stacey, they go down and they look for the phone. They can hear it ringing, and they go and they keep looking, and there's like loads of plants everywhere, and they see the woman in the beginning from the
cold open,
and she's
holding the phone she was beeping on.
Yeah, and I think she was the archaeology lady. I
think so too.
And
so they pry the phone from her cold dead hand, and they realize it's like not working.
Yeah, and then
they hear the ringtone again. They hear the ringtone again, and it sounds like it's coming from behind them. They look around because they're just like scared, and she hears it coming from the wall almost. So Amy approaches the wall of flowers and sees that the little small pieces in the flower are like wiggling and creating sound. The flowers are alive and they are imitating the ringtone of the phone.
It's insane. It was really creepy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the skeleton up top is Heinrich, Matthias's brother.
It's possible, yeah.
Because he's wearing a fancy watch. I don't know. That's what I thought. It was a German-looking watch.
Yeah.
So they go back up, and they try and tell them what's happened. Boys obviously think they're crazy. Stacey almost gets like fucking eaten alive.
Well, they get chased out of the temple as well by the vines. The vines come alive. They start grabbing them. They grab the torch that they're holding.
Yeah.
They like start grabbing onto their legs, trying to pull them in. It was the vines are alive. They are living, and they grab Stacey, almost get her, but Amy is able to fight her away. They jump onto the rope. She really does. They jump onto the rope together,
and they're like pulling on this rope, like, boys, pull us up.
They get them out. They realize everything that's happening. The vines and the flowers are alive. They sort of cover them in like spores of some sort. It almost looks like a mold, and it grows on them and can even grow in them if it gets into them.
Especially if there's wounds. So anyone with an open wound needs to like stop.
Because the vines are feeding on them.
Yeah.
The vines are feeding on their flesh. As we see from Matthias, when we next see his legs, chunks of his flesh on his legs are gone.
They're just fucking gone.
Chunks, like, I don't know how to describe it, like brick-sized chunks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like they're cavities in his leg, basically.
Like some of his leg is just bone.
The gore in this film is really good.
It's really good.
I really enjoyed it. Like, it's very visceral. The sound design works really well with it. There's a lot of blood. It's more realistic blood, so it's not like Bones blood, but it works really well for this film, I think.
They also realised that obviously the skeleton that was in the bush has grown from the skeleton.
Yeah, and they're like, oh fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just... Girls in hole looking for phone.
It's very scary because they're completely surrounded by the vines. So there's nowhere they can go, and they sort of just have to keep an eye on it because the vines aren't incredibly strong. They're just vines. They can fight them off. So they start sleeping with someone watching guard constantly. It is now the next morning, and we are finally seeing them sharing a meal.
Oh, yeah.
They are rationing a sandwich, 2 bottles of water, and a bottle of whiskey.
Okay. That was so important.
It was so important. I feel like it's really important to mention that all they have is a sandwich, 2 bottles of water, and a bottle of whiskey. And that with bottle of whiskey is very important, first of all.
Because they used to disinfect everything.
It just sounds like the contents of my fridge. Second of all, that's really important there that they have water, although they're taking one sip at a time, and
I have whiskey.
And a sandwich. They're literally eating a crumb of it at a time. It's like awful. And then Jeff goes to bring some water to Mateus, and while he's over bringing water, he checks up on Mateus's legs to see how they're doing, and they are doing awful.
His legs are fucked.
Chunks of flesh, brick size, gone from his legs, and he realizes, oh, he's gonna get an infection of the bone very easily. So he brings it up to the group and says, I need to cut his legs off.
This bit pisses me off because they're doing this vote on if they should cut his legs off. They don't even ask Mateus, by the way. He's conscious this whole time, and Eric votes not to chop him off. But his girlfriend, Stacey, votes to chop them off. And he's like, why are you voting against me? And she's like, he's a med student. He knows more than us. It's like, yeah, he's a med student, not a doctor, not a surgeon. And she's like, I'm still entitled to my vote?
Ooh.
What is this, communist China? No.
Ooh. No, I loved that line. Still, like, I don't know why, like, you wouldn't want to help. Like, I know it's disgusting. Although, at the same time, that's really big of her to say, because it was only the boys who actually would have to cut his leg off. So it's so easy for her to sit there and vote.
Why wasn't she holding down Mateus?
Exactly.
Why the fuck was Eric doing it?
So they start to, like...
He's such a fucking pushover.
Do the procedure, and it's Eric and Jeff doing it. Whereas Stacey, she's in the tent with Amy.
Amy.
Covering their ears, like, trying not to hear it.
Why wasn't Eric in the tent covering his ears, crying?
He didn't want to do it. In fact, she should have had to go out there and do it, because I bet she would have changed the vote. But I'm glad she voted that, because I think it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
He's going to die.
Well, I found there was a little bit of, like, dark humour in it, where they cut his leg off, they use a rock, and then they use, like, a frying pan to cauterize it, because they heat it on a fire. But then it cuts down to the people at the bottom of the thing, like, keeping them hostage, basically, and they're, like, munching on a feast.
Yeah, they're having dinner while... And we see that right after we see his, like jiggly, bloody flesh being cauterized.
Yeah. And then after that, which is even funnier in hindsight, is the vines eating his legs.
Yes, so they look over after they finish the procedure, and they're talking about how, like, horrible it was to hear him scream, and Stacey's regretting it. And we look over and see that his now severed leg is being dragged away by the vines, and that's when we know for sure that the vines do feed on flesh.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so awful, by the way they broke the leg.
Oh, God.
They dropped a huge stone on his leg to break it, and then started cutting through it with a knife that was not sharp enough. And the flesh is just jiggling and bleeding, and the German man is screaming. Mateus is screaming. And it's so funny, too, because before he started, he said, oh, you're numbered below the waist, you're not going to feel anything, but you can bite on this in case. I was like, you're not going to feel anything? Sure. As soon as he starts cutting, screaming. And then
Amy's like, you need to stop, he's screaming. And he's like, no, it's just the visual, it's fine.
He can't even see. The man is stuck on his back. He can't even look down if he wanted to. He can barely move his neck.
Jeff, I get he was doing what was best, but he was so condescending about it.
Yeah, he was condescending and cold. He didn't need to be, but at the same time, they are in a horrible situation, and he's doing whatever he can to survive. And if that's what he needs to do mentally, shut down, babes.
I get that, but if he's going to be a doctor and he's going to be dealing with these horrible situations every day, he needs to learn to be more compassionate and deal with people better. Because this kind of attitude is going to lead to group division. Like, Eric's already, like, planning to fucking leave at this point.
Yeah, Eric just keeps thinking, I'm gonna run.
Amy's having a nervous breakdown. Stacey's got fucking vines growing in her, which we discover next, don't worry. It's not that big of a spoiler. And, like, he's being a cold asshole, basically.
Yeah. Eric's having a conversation with Amy.
Yeah.
And it's later that night now. And Eric's having a conversation with Amy. And Eric's like, I'm going to take a run for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go tomorrow night. I'm going to make a run for it.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Stacey's in the tent going a little bit crazy. Something seems off with her.
Something's very off with her.
And then she suddenly comes out of the tent and she stomps towards Amy and Eric, who are having a moment at the top of the temple, just sat together, confiding in one another. And she starts screaming at them.
Oh, and she's like, I knew you'd fuck him. I knew you'd fuck him.
Yeah, she's like, I heard you two fucking out here.
How
would
moaning.
you be fucking her right outside the tent that I'm sleeping in? How could you? I heard you fucking her. I heard you fucking her. And she's only saying this to Eric too, which is very unusual. She didn't say anything to Amy. Like, I heard you guys fucking. No, it's like, I heard you fucking her. I heard you. Like, Amy isn't standing right there. And they're like, whoa, what's going on? Because they weren't.
Yeah.
They weren't having sex. What's going on? Why is she like saying this? And she's going crazy. She's like sweating like crazy.
Oh my God.
She can like barely breathe. Like, she's clearly in a terrible state.
Yeah. Like, if it wasn't for, like, paranormal vines, I would think that maybe she's actually got, like, a deep infection somewhere that she needs help with, you know?
Yeah, and she's going crazy. And meanwhile, so Jeff comes over and he's like, Jesus, what the fuck is happening?
And this is where our bet gets resolved.
Yes. So it's actually
Stacey that reveals.
That Amy kissed Mateus. And she says, well, she would have fucked Mateus if I didn't stop her.
Yeah.
That's what she says to Jeff. And Jeff doesn't give a shit.
No.
No. Meanwhile, while they're arguing this point, we cut to seeing Mateus slowly being eaten by the vines. They're crawling into his mouth, down his throat. And Jeff hears that, doesn't give a shit, looks over, sees Mateus getting hit.
And tries to save him.
And tries to save him for the vines. They rip the vines out of his throat.
Yeah.
Like a fucking tube.
Mateus is dead.
And he's gone.
Mateus is dead.
And then Eric makes a shitty joke and goes like, oh, so much for cutting off his legs.
I don't think he was joking. I think he was just like, I was right.
Well, he wasn't right, though.
Snarky little bitch.
He wasn't right. In fact, it was his fucking girlfriend whose argument got them more distracted that the vines had a chance to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, what? It was just, I don't know. It was such a kick on mother down. I genuinely think Jeff was trying to do... I feel like I've changed my opinion on Jeff a million times this episode, but I feel like Jeff was genuinely trying to do what was best for the situation.
No, Jeff was trying to do the best, but he was still
But then to
dickhead.
kick him down like that, like, gee, like... It's just frustrating and just unnecessary.
But now, you know, we both lost the bet. Because it wasn't either of us who decided who would reveal the cheating. And, what's it called? Amy isn't dead in either of the ways we had planned.
Yeah, I thought that she would, like... her relationship with Jeff would be ruined and Jeff wouldn't help her. And you thought that she'd be a bitch and storm off.
Yeah.
And neither happened. Jeff just didn't give a shit. In fact, Amy addresses it with Jeff.
Yeah.
In the next few scenes. And she says, I just want you to know nothing happened between me and Mateus.
And it's like, you don't have to say that.
Yeah.
Because he knows.
Yeah, he literally says...
He fucking knows.
Look at the situation we're in. Would it matter to you? That's exactly what he says. He says, look at the situation. Would it matter? He's like, we are dying. We are stuck on a temple surrounded by plants that are eating us alive.
Or people who will shoot us.
I don't give a shit. Like, cheating is the least of his fucking worries. Which I loved that line. Like, look at us. Look where we are. Look at the situation we're in. Would you care?
But now, back to Stacey. She's done being crazy, but not quite. Because she says there's more vines in her and she wants them out.
Yeah, the next day.
They cut gashes into her side and her legs.
And her thigh.
Yeah.
Because essentially, Eric calls them into the tent and they see that you can see it under the skin moving. It almost looks like a tapeworm under the skin. She's got one...
On her side.
And
in her leg.
back. And then one in her thigh.
Yeah.
And so they cut open her thigh first. And it's not too bad of a gash.
And they can like pull it out. They like
but he has
pull
to
it out
stuff
like a
his
rope.
fingers into the wound. And like feel around for ages trying to rip it out.
The one on her side, he makes such a big like gash.
Oh my God, yes.
He gets his whole fucking hand in there.
Turns onto her stomach. And he cuts an X into her back. And it's so deep. And he just like puts all 5 fingers in. And it was a thick one.
He's sterilizing shit with whiskey. Like,
oh yeah, he's pouring whiskey on everything because that's all they have. And he's like trying to rip this giant vine out of her back. That one was like an inch thick. It was horrid. And she's screaming. Which, by the way, that scene, the acting was very good. Her screaming and crying during that.
She doesn't pretty cry. She ugly cries. And that is something I really appreciate in this. Because it's like, there are so many films. Like, you know the new one where Megan Fox is like a bride who like gets hunted down by mafia? It's like a couple years old now, but like they don't fuck up her makeup once. They like let her be pretty the whole time, and I'm like,
lame.
you've been thrown through a car window, babe. There's no glass in your hair.
You don't get to be hot.
You don't get to be hot all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
You'd still be hot if you weren't. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, in fact, you can just be like messy and hot. You don't have to be hot and put
You
together.
don't need your mascara to be perfect if you've just jumped out of a fucking plane, babe.
But not this film. This scene's done well.
Yeah.
I mean, she's got snot coming out of her nose. Like, she's
Tears,
screaming.
Sweat, dirt, blood,
I believe.
cum, shit. Sorry.
I think that was a bit much.
Okay.
I don't think it was all that, but it was most of that, I think. It was most of
Pus.
that. She wasn't putting that much into it.
It works.
Lord Jesus.
Breast milk.
The point is that ends up, she takes a deep nap because she just went through so much. They bandage her up with like cloth and stuff, and again pour more fucking whiskey on everything.
Everything. They're running
Everything
out.
gets a bit of whiskey. And they're
I'm a bit upset we didn't get any whiskey.
we should have drank whiskey this episode. We didn't know it was coming. We didn't realize it'd be such a
No,
main
we drank
character.
lemsip this episode.
We actually did. We looked after ourselves.
For
But no.
once.
So after she's bandaged up and stuff, they're talking to her, and she's talking about how she can feel more inside of her, especially her head. She says, they're in my head. And they're all like, no, they're not. You're just thinking that you're paranoid now.
And we see one wiggling in her forehead.
There's one
like
wiggling in
a
her
little
forehead.
worm.
And she tries to grab a knife, and they don't let her.
Yeah.
And they hand her the bottle of whiskey because it has two uses. And they say, drink this to try and make her feel better. And she takes a big swig, and then all of the three characters see the vine swiggle underneath her forehead skin, and they all look away from her.
They all gaslight her as well. I know they're trying to comfort her and shit because they know she's gonna fucking die. But at that point, would you not just tell it to me straight? If I have plants in me one day,
I'll kill you.
kill me. But also, don't kill me in like a let me die by plant way. Burn me.
Yeah.
Burn me.
Yeah. Agreed.
I would throw you off of the thing so that I could get away. I can't lie, babe. Can't lie. I need to live too.
I would have never came.
Neither would I. I'm
Just saying.
too blind for this shit. Too sensible. Sorry, guys.
Too sensible. Impossible.
They kind of take a nap because the plan
They're
currently is...
exhausted.
The plan currently is wait till evening. Eric will escape and run for help. Because if they all escape at the same time, they're going to notice the people down there. But
Yeah.
Eric is probably the most fit out of all of them. And he could probably do it. But they're taking a nap in the middle of the day because they have fuck all to do until then. And Stacy leaves the tent really quiet. She finds a knife.
She finds a knife in the corner. She stands up. She's freaking out, and she starts repeating to herself, I gotta get it out, something like that.
And the plants start saying it back.
Yeah, because there's plants around the temple, and they start mimicking the sound of her and saying like gotta get it out, gotta get it out, gotta get it out, gotta cut it out, gotta cut it out.
Their plants are fucking evil, man.
They cut back to the tent. Everyone else wakes up. They leave the tent, and they see Stacy in the corner of
Covered
the top
in
of
blood.
the temple, covered in buckets of blood. And she turns around, and she's cut a deep gash in her forehead.
She's trying to take the vine out of it.
And she's cut a deep gash in her side, and she's cutting a huge gash in her thigh. She's currently cutting a huge piece of meat off her thigh.
Like, bro, they can fry that if they run out of ration.
Yeah. It was like a steak-sized piece of flesh. She's like pulling it away from the thigh and cutting it to get it off. Like cutting fat from meat.
Disgusting. It was so gross.
Horrible. And it's like the gore again is very, very good, very effective. And she's just cutting this meat off, and they're like, "Oh, we have to stop her."
Yeah.
So Jeff first tries to stop her, and he tries to reason with her, and he's like, "Stacy, stop, stop, stop!" And she turns around
And she
with a
slices his hand with a
screech,
knife.
and she slices his hand open.
Yeah. So now there's only Eric and Amy who have no open wounds on them.
Yeah.
And then Eric goes over to try and stop his girlfriend from being crazy. And then he gets stabbed in the chest.
Yeah, she stabs him in the chest.
So now there's only Amy with no open wounds on her. The most fit person who could run to help is dead.
See, what I think was happening, because obviously Stacy had these plants inside of her. I think, especially when she went crazy, like the day before when she thought they were fucking, I think the plants were talking to her in her head.
You think so?
I think so. I think that they were because obviously they were making her crazy because they were in her head. I think somehow there were like flowers in her head, making
Maybe
the
they were
noise.
releasing like anxiety hormones and shit.
That's possible. But yeah, it's obviously what made her crazy the next day
Yeah.
when she was cutting herself up. Because when she does realize that she stabbed Eric, her boyfriend, she does freak out and she's like, starts crying.
I'm sorry. Like
she doesn't
reaching out
mean
to
it.
him, and everyone's trying to stop her from getting to him.
So Jeff is trying to help Eric, but he can't. He's dead. He's gone. He's stabbed in the heart.
Yeah.
And Amy is comforting Stacy, and Stacy's laid on top of Amy. And through that giant flab of like flesh that I was saying that she cut off her thigh, it's a very cool shot where you can see the vines
Moving
growing
towards.
like underneath the skin, but like because the wound is an open hole in her like leg, you can see them growing through her leg. But like it's like a window into her leg to see the vine. It was a very cool scene. And
I wish they kind of focused on it more. Like I wish I could have seen like a close up of it. I know that subtle shot was nice, but for me, just because I'm a little blind, I would prefer like at least one little close up of it.
I can see that, but I think since the vines are CGI, I think if it did a close up, it wouldn't be as effective.
That's fair. It was 2009.
I think because it wasn't too easy to see. I think that made it more believable and effective.
Fair enough.
Yeah, she looks up to Amy, who's comforting her, and she's got a vine sticking out of the huge gash in her forehead, and she says, "Kill me, kill me." And she screams, "Kill me!" And then I think the flowers even start repeating, "Kill me!" Right?
Yeah, they do. It's creepy.
The flowers start chanting like "Kill me," and they've got such an unusual sound, but they almost like a parrot, but like nowhere near like a parrot, because they just almost don't sound fully like words.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't have a subtitle, you wouldn't know what the plants were saying, maybe. That's how sort of weird it was, which made it more realistic to me.
I love the sound.
Because it's like sound being remade by flowers. They don't have vocal cords, you know? So the fact that it wasn't fully human sounding or very well
it's very effective
announced.
that way.
Loved it.
Stacey dies, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. Stacey does. I mean, she's got so many open wounds. She's bleeding like crazy.
She's just a bush at this point.
She's just a bush.
She's just a bush.
She really is.
Yeah. And then Jeff and Amy have to come up with a plan. Because Jeff's got an open wound on him. A very small one.
Which means he's probably not going to live long. But, I mean, Amy has hope because she thinks everyone will live. That's why she didn't vote for Mateus to be amputated.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Jeff sort of comes up with an idea. We don't really necessarily see what the full idea is yet. Yeah. But we see that he covers Amy in blood. He's got an open wound on his hand. He's got plenty to go around. He smears on her forehead, on her cheeks, on her chest, on her arms.
Yeah. All over. She's covered in it.
Yeah. So then he says, like, well, we have to do this. And he picks out the Jeep keys from the Jeep that they had in the forest. And he gives them to Amy. And he says, you have to run through the woods, blah, blah, blah.
And she says,
get to the Jeep.
Promise you'll stay here. Promise you'll still be here when I'm back.
Yeah. Because she plans on coming back for him.
Yeah.
So he carries Amy down to the foot of the temple, lays her on the ground in front of the natives who are standing there with the gun and bow and arrows. Yeah. And he starts monologuing. And he says, like, you don't even know her name. He's pretending she's dead.
Yeah.
He even gives her sort of a kiss and he leaves her on the ground. He pretends she's dead.
And she walks away from her, like,
in a
to
circle.
the side.
So he's walked around the temple.
He doesn't walk around the whole temple, does he?
Not the whole thing, but he's walking around it.
Because he doesn't even make it through a full side of it, does he?
He makes it to the corner.
Okay.
Yeah. So he starts walking like around it because he has to stay close to the temple because if he moves forward, they'll shoot him. So he starts walking like around. And when he gets a good distance,
he's like, her name was Amy!
Yeah, which was obviously their code word.
Yeah.
The code word was that they planned off screen was Amy. So he says her name was, and he screams Amy, and we see her in the background jumping up quickly and sprinting into the woods. And he continues to scream because he wants to cover up the sound of her running.
Yeah.
And make sure they don't look at her. Yeah. And he starts to step forward and they shoot him with arrows and shoot him with a gun. Yeah.
So she's in the
woods. Well, they shoot him with arrows at first.
Yeah. She doesn't notice the arrows, but she hears the gunshot when she's in the woods.
Yeah.
So and they come after her as well a little bit.
What I will say is they shoot him with the arrows and he falls to the ground. And she's running through the woods. Then because there's other natives there and locals, whatever, who are like alerting the gun guys, like, oh, she just ran into the woods. So they start going after her. And as she's sort of like making her way through the woods, the guy with the gun goes over to Jeff and puts him out of his misery by shooting him in the head. Yeah. She hears that shot and she knows he's not there anymore. He won't be there when I come back.
Yeah.
So she keeps running and then suddenly arrows start flying through the woods. They're hitting things. She's stumbling, fumbling. You can kind of imagine she's covered in blood.
She gets away in the Jeep.
She gets away in the Jeep. She jumps into the Jeep, keys working, pulls out. They're in the woods, like watching her. Like they're shooting arrows at the car. She speeds off.
But she makes it to a town, because in the end we see the a sign of a town.
Yeah, so
Drives
she's
in
made
there.
it away. She's lived.
And the last shot of the film.
So the last shot, it fades to black, and all of a sudden you hear some Greek being spoken very quietly. It
And
gets a
you
bit louder.
see these fellas in beach shorts and like tank tops, and they're just walking up to this fucking temple. So they don't even have any bags with them. That's how like less of
They're so chill, like laughing, joking.
Yeah, they're like, Dimitri, where the fuck are you?
And they start to walk around the corner, and you see the temple between a parting in the bushes.
And you're just like, okay, they're fucking dead.
And you hear the screech of one of the flowers, and it fades to black.
Yeah, film's over. Greek's dead.
Purr. God, I can't believe we got through that.
I know, right?
Good for
To be
us.
fair, I feel like that was shorter than the last episode because it was less plot and more like...
There was less to talk about.
Because it was just a lot of scenes of them just talking.
I will say, just to give my final thoughts on the film.
Okay, what'd you give it out of 5?
I would say, I could send them over. I liked The Ruin. It had charm. It had that, like, classic, sweaty, blood-stained film vibe. You know, where they, like, die one at a time and they get dirty and dirty as the film goes on. It was one of those. And I thought, I liked that. And the gore was uncomfortable in a good way. It had that, like it made me feel the way I did during, like, James Franco's, like, 127 hours, like,
I haven't seen that one.
cutting his arm open. Seeing ways to cut through his arm to escape.
I've not seen it.
Anyway, if you've seen that, it gave that same feeling of, like, disgust and it's, like, uncomfortable. This is that scene. But I don't have a lot to say about this film. I honestly don't. And that's why, like, honestly, it's probably a short episode because it didn't leave me with much to say or to provoke in me. But I will say, even though I don't have much to say about it, I still give it, like, a 3 out of 5. Maybe a 2.7 out of 5, actually.
Yeah, I also gave it a 3. I have a lot of similar things to say. Basically, a lot of things I like. I like the sound. I like the sound of the flowers. I like the idea of the plants being evil, even if they look like weed.
They did look like marijuana plants.
I liked the gore and the effects. That was good. I think the issue with me is that it's not very memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just because of its writing. Like, I'm not gonna think about this film and, like, I would say, we're gonna record another fucking movie after this. Like, I'm not gonna be thinking about this movie.
No.
After now, basically. Just because the characters aren't interesting. You have the doctor, and then he's like, okay. And you have Amy, who's fucking annoying. But they kill the likable characters off really quick. They killed Dimitri and Matthias off, and they were the likable ones. Stacey was likable too because she got shit done.
Yeah.
But she goes crazy, and, like, that's it. There's no actual character to it because we don't know anything about her. We only know that her and Amy were best friends. We don't know anything about them. We don't know what they're studying.
There
we
could
don't know
have
what
been
their
more,
jobs are.
like the scene where she says, like, oh, Amy cheated or whatever. I know it's cliche to say this, but it could have caused more tension.
Yeah.
They could have fought more. There could have been problems. Someone could have...
Maybe there was an issue in their past with Amy cheating with someone that Stacey didn't want to cheat with, and then there could have been like, oh, this is a holiday to fix our friendship.
Yeah.
Or something.
Just give more purpose to these characters. Yeah. More reason to be alive. And another thing I would say is Jeff was, the medic or whatever. And that made him incredibly useful, and it gave him a lot to do. But no one else had anything special about them.
Yeah.
I mean, Amy liked to take pictures, and that got them in trouble. But, like, besides that, no one had a thing. They were like, oh, I'm this. Like, and that's what I bring to the group, and that's what is going to be about me.
But the thing I really enjoyed about it was the ingenuity. When they build the backstrap, that's fucking cool. But they don't do anything else. Like, how do they know how to build a backstrap? What, because of Jeff again? He's the only useful one.
Yeah.
And it's like, if they had more of this kind of, like, working together aspect of it to try and evade both of the people and the flowers, then I think it would have been a really great film. And I know exactly how I would have done it. I would have split them off into... I would have split them off into 2 teams. I would have put Eric and someone else go into the woods. Or maybe even just Eric on his own. But I would have someone go out and try and escape. But they have to navigate the natives who are chasing him, right? The local people, they've figured out he's gone out and they're, like, looking for him to try and quarantine him. Or at least try and warn the nearby towns to stop him from entering, right? So maybe there's a scene in a town where, like, someone radios for them and then he gets chased through it. Or in the rainforest or some shit, right?
Yeah.
And then I would have had another group stay in/on/around the temple. So you've obviously got Matthias, who's like incapacitated, and then Jeff. But maybe the girls would go inside the temple looking for a way to deal with the flowers.
Okay, I can see that, and that would have like added more substance.
But I would have changed more of the flowers mechanics as well, because if they did it with the mechanics they have now, they would have been dead in 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
I think that would make it more substantial, but I think it takes away from the charm of the film. That is just that they're stuck in one location for the vast majority of the film. I think that's kind of the charm of it. And I feel like that goes if you try to split it up.
I guess so, but it doesn't give them a lot to do.
It doesn't, and that's what I'm saying.
That's why we have the problems that we have with it, though.
But they could have done more. Like they could have made more attempts to escape, but not necessarily escape. But they could have done more with the inside of the temple.
Yeah.
The inside of the temple was underutilized like crazy.
Yeah. As much as the rest of the film has a lot of good production design, the inside of the temple is just a dark room with flowers in it.
Which made it kind of like not boring because there was stuff happening, but it made it a little bit like lame when they just like them exploring the tunnel was just like down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up.
If you want a good tunnel exploring movie, watch The Descent, but don't watch the American cut. Watch the English cut because it's more depressing.
Yeah, The Descent is good.
That one scares the shit out of me every single time I watch it. It's claustrophobic. The monsters are great. Amazing.
Is that all your thoughts?
Yeah.
Right. Well, this has been The Ruin.
The Ruins.
I hope it doesn't ruin us.
Kill me.
Kill me. Right. Thank you for watching the episode.
Thank you. You can find us. Where can you find us?
You can find us. I mean, if you're watching this or listening to this, you already found us.
No, that's true. But you can find us on Instagram,
TikTok,
Twitter that we don't use.
Yeah, and also you can watch and listen everywhere. You can YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Acast. I think more like Deezer.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
Check our link tree. You can find our personal social medias.
Yeah.
And look in the description because in every video we will have the links to Operation Olive Branch, Palestine Action, Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Okay.
Slay.
Gotta keep it real.
Yeah, the Misters, they check those out.
Yes, it's important. Bye bye. We love you. Can they see the heart?
Yeah, they can.
Yay.
This is gay. Bye.
Bye, gay.
Bye, gay.